Ian Strang, who's joining us live from Queen's Wharf there. Olympic host city Tokyo is now in a fresh state of emergency, less than 2 weeks ahead of the Games. Yesterday it recorded 614 new cases of COVID, the 22nd straight day of week-on-week gains. There are strict restrictions on athletes, spectators are banned, and restaurants are being asked to close early and stop serving alcohol in exchange for a government subsidy. Chef de mission Rob Waddell arrived in the city with the first wave of New Zealand athletes on Friday, and he joins us now. Kia ora, Rob. How different is it over there?
It is different. Obviously, going outside of New Zealand, it's got a different feel coming into a country which has got COVID, and so there have been some pretty strong countermeasures that have been in place, and they are different to a normal Games environment. But we are getting on with the job, and it's gone smoothly so far. Yeah, definitely a lot of differences like the social distancing, the regular hand washing and sanitising, face masks. So it seems everyone's been respectful of that. And within our bubble in the village, we are just getting on with it and doing the best we can.
Can you give us a sense of the daily routine? Because looking at the guide for athletes, there's temperature checks, right? You record your movements and things like that. So in terms of the paperwork, what are you involved with there?
So getting a team to the Olympic Games is a big exercise logistically, and our team have been working really hard on that, but then you put the COVID complexity over that as well, and it adds another level of detail. So even something as simple as getting into the country isn't something you take for granted now. So a lot of the work that needs to be done beforehand, the health tests, and then the right paperwork and the right apps downloaded for athletes and managers to get into the country. Straight away, you know when you're leaving the country that things are different. Day to day, the athletes are getting here later than they might have in previous Games. There is a different time restriction around that, so they arrive 5 days before and have to leave within 2 days after their event. So straight away that puts a different slant on things like their training and how they might prepare. But look, within the village, apart from the face mask and the regular hand sanitising, things are running relatively normal. There's obviously a bit more virtual interaction than what you might otherwise expect to have meetings in person and so on. But hey, we are still early, and the big numbers haven't arrived yet. We're only a small number with each country, and we've got a team size of 450. Most of that's still to come, so we're aware that it will get busier.
So given the team size, right, are you allowed as the chef de mission to move within everybody in that team, or are you restricted to a smaller sub-bubble, if you like?
Now, that's an interesting question, and I think probably likely what you'll see throughout the 206-odd nations that are at these Olympic Games, you'll see a variety of different approaches. So we have been strong in our messaging and what we believe is the best thing to do for athletes, and it is a strong approach where we're encouraging the team to stick within their own bubbles within the team and to respect the countermeasures and have a lot of respect for those. One, for their own performance, because you think about the implications of getting it wrong, it means that your Games is over, which is something you need to take really seriously. So we don't mind being pedantic in that space. And the second thing is really out of respect to the Japanese public. So, there are obviously within the village a lot of staff, a lot of volunteers, and we're really mindful of that. So those things are important, and that's the reason why we're taking a strong approach to it. And
so you can't mix with all your... Sorry, Rob, so just to be clear, you can't have face-to-face contact with all of your team members then?
No, we'll have face-to-face contact with them, but we'll be socially distanced and we're wearing masks, and there'll be no high-fives, handshakes, hugs or hongies. It'll be definitely keeping our distance and being respectful of the countermeasures that have been requested of us, and that we're backing because we believe it's the best thing for our team and for the performance of the athlete.
How many of the team haven't been vaccinated?
I don't know the exact number, but I know it's very, very low. I think it's down into single figures. So that was a big push throughout the team to get as many people vaccinated as possible. It was our expectation that people would be vaccinated coming to the Games. And for those that haven't, there might be a variety of reasons. I'm not privy to that. The obviously privacy rules in that space, but we have made sure that those that made that decision have been well educated. They've been advised medically and had the right support around them to know that they're making a well considered decision. And that's, but you have got very, very low numbers who haven't been vaccinated, I understand.
So what other health steps are people taking, or any advice on supplements and things like that?
Well, there's a range of things you can do. I guess a lot of them are things we're all very familiar with in the world we've been living in. So that we're trying to keep it quite simple for our team, to be honest, Lisa. So, keep your hands really clean, keep your face mask on. I think one of the biggest benefits of a face mask, myself personally, isn't so much the breath that you might get from someone who's infected. It's more just that it consciously keeps your hands away from your face a lot of the time, which is a good thing that can sometimes happen. And then social distancing. So if we respect those three things, that's what will make the biggest difference. And so we're messaging that and not trying to make it too complicated.
When athletes are not competing, what actually can they do? What are they free to do?
Yeah, excellent question again. I guess at a games environment, you are busy with take into account most teams will train twice a day. So by the time you get up, you might do your stretching. You've probably got doctor or physio or something in that regard going on. So inevitably, largely they're focusing on performance. There is some downtime, but they all have their different ways of coping with that, and they've experienced it. That's why they're here. So whether it be Netflix or books or playing cards or a wide variety of different things they might have done, they are all used to travelling internationally. They are all used to downtime. Obviously, with COVID, there's another degree of separation there again. For example, within our team, we wouldn't encourage other sports to go mingling amongst each other, and that's sort of something in the past has been quite a nice feature within the team. So, it might be able to happen from afar. It's not something which would be, in a close contact situation. So, I guess every team's got a different approach, but they are here for a shorter period of time than what has been in the past. So, that does make a bit of a difference too.
How are you coping with the heat, and how will they cope with the heat?
So, look, the heat hasn't been too bad lately, actually. We've had some really powerful thunderstorms in the first 2 days, and it's been relatively cool. But we know the heat's coming, and, we have been here in the past when it has been incredibly hot. For a lot of sports, they've dealt with it in a variety of different ways. I know many of them have gone to some really hot places with high humidity and done events there in years gone by just to sort of get some processes and planning in place and to know how their bodies will adapt. Some of them have been using heat chambers back home. Some of them have gone to Australia and the likes of Perth and been up north. And those are some of the things that they've been doing. So I think, the first part is actually understanding how your body might react, but having the second piece is having some coping mechanisms in place. One of the biggest ones, no surprise, is hydration, right? So, we've done a lot around that and making sure we've got ice baths and keeping people cool and ice vests and lots of slushies and ISO drinks and things like that so that they can rehydrate properly and keep their body core temperature down.
Rob, the bookies have got us down for a 7-medal tally. What are you guessing, and what are our sure bets, do you reckon?
7-medal tally, is that all medals overall, or is that just gold?
No. Go, Rob!
It depends what bookies you chat to, I guess. Inevitably, coming into a game, you get a wild range of comparisons. Someone that might be calling it from the other side of the world as opposed to someone who's locally based in New Zealand and have a better insight. I think the fascinating thing, Lisa, which is to play out, is there's just been very little in the way of international competition for a lot of these athletes for the last 18 months. So really, you're not sure how your opposition going, you're not sure how you're going. That will be a big variable in all of this. And I would like to think because of the way we've been able to prepare in New Zealand, we have been relatively unchecked, that hopefully that's something that can play into our hands. And I know for many of our athletes, they have stayed based here in New Zealand. At the same time, you can't avoid that international competition when the blowtorch comes on. So that's probably one of the biggest things we're messaging is that, yes, there's lots of distractions. Yes, COVID's happening, but remember, it's game on and it will be just as ruthless as it ever is. So let's make sure we're ready for that.
Rob, give us a number.
Look, we got 18 at Rio. If we achieve that again, I'd be delighted. That would be an outstanding achievement.
Thanks, Rob. Really appreciate your time. That is Rob Waddell, the chef de mission, who is in Tokyo, gearing up for the Games. It is 29 minutes to 6. Kia amo tonu mai. You're